Excuse me. Hey everyone, how you doing today? It's been one of those really hectic days for me. I got to get rid of that real deep sound in my voice. I don't know how to do that. And go, Anyway, this is Cassandra Williamson. I'm coming to you from Pike County, Kentucky, right along the West Virginia border with the Tug River separating us, the two states. And this is hillbilly country for sure. It's also ATV riders' haven and heaven for sure. That's a lot of the stuff that takes place around here. And the two major little towns near us are Williamson, West Virginia, just about 5 miles away. And there's three. Matewan, West Virginia, where the infamous, let's see, Hatfield McCoy feud ended in like 1921, basically after a shootout with the sheriff and the posse locally. And then Pikeville, Kentucky, which happens to be the county seat of Pike County. But anyway, that's where I am. I'm right in the middle of all of this. It's beautiful country around here. It's been raining mostly today, but I do believe the sun's trying to come out. And so I was out riding around today. I go out early and try to do a little bit of door dashing because, being retired, I kind of have the time, but I'm also trying to take care of family as well as best as I can here with 3 or 4 people that I kind of check in on more than anything now because their health is pretty much stabilized essentially, except for my brother whose breathing seems to be getting worse. And he's struggling with that. He keeps trying and pushing and trying. He works hard at trying to overcome it. I know. He told me the other day it felt like he was trying to breathe through a straw, even though he's got oxygen. He's got all this stuff here at the house, and it just drains him of energy. Very worrisome. Very worrisome. Mom and my sister, they're pretty steady and stable in terms of their health. Both of them are about where they need to be in terms of their health. I wish there was some way to reduce the confusion or something that my mom feels sometimes, but all of her blood work, everything looks statistically right. It all looks normal. There's no reason to go in and change anything for her at this point. No broccoli, even though she loves broccoli. I don't have to do anything extra, no magnesium or potassium or anything like that. And her blood sugar is for her, it's pretty decent, I suspect. Well, that's what the doctor tells me anyway. In the morning, she gets up, it's about 116 to 135. In that range, early in the morning, she gets up, then she has her medicine and shots and all that stuff and gets breakfast. And then in the evening, her blood sugar goes typically back up quite a bit, but it goes up to around 170 to 230, just depends. I know that's a little bit high, but for her, we've been pulling it down. You should have seen this a year ago. This was a tremendous problem and a challenge, and we're finally getting that back down from Mom, and very happy about it. So we're steadily working there. It was thought at one time that she may have like stage 4 kidney disease. And she does, but it's been steady like that for at least 4 years, according to the numbers that have been evaluated over the years. So she's been holding pretty steady at that. Low 20s, upper teens, in that range for 4 years or so. And most of that has to do with the diet and stuff that we actually have, that people have, that have been maintained over time for these past number of years. I don't know if somebody's knocking on my door or not, but anyway. So Mom's doing all right in that regard. The doctors aren't terribly concerned. Her blood work and all her lab results are pretty steady. And my sister, she still has a little bit of acid reflux. It's a lot of it. It actually is more than that. It's more like what I had. Excuse me, which was like a hiatal hernia where there were some vessels actually popping through in the esophagus. And she's got something like that because it causes her to throw up and all this kind of stuff. So you give her Pepto-Bismol to kind of keep it down. So she's in that stage right now. So I'm very happy about all of that. But this morning I spent a lot of time out, and I'm driving through all of the communities. And drove like from one school. I drove 14 miles over to one in West Virginia, way up in Delbarton, West Virginia, to the Birch Middle School. And, you know, every person I interact with here in the hills, everyone so far, that doesn't mean there aren't some crazy people here who would react differently or say something goofball crazy. But everyone that I've dealt with so far, and I've been here a year and a half now, have been respectful. They've been decent people. I haven't tried to push anything on anyone. I just, who you see is who you get. And I mean, it's up to you whether or not you can deal with that or not. And, you know, that's on you. So that's the way I approach everything here in these hills. And most people were really concerned about me coming back here. There are some places where I won't go. Well, at least not at night. When sundown hits, I try to make sure I'm not out there where the crazies are out at night. You know, the vampires, that bunch. No. I don't put myself in crazy places. That's the whole story of what I'm trying to tell you, is that no matter who you are, be yourself and live your life respecting others around you. And things will actually move forward well for you. You'll be able to survive and thrive and work forward and all of that. And without a lot of complications too. As a matter of fact, it's been that way for me from the very first moment that I went public with all of this, with who I am. I mean, it's been that way. That's how trying to reconnect to the internet somewhere. We lose signal. So that's where we're at this point. We're just kind of living our life, doing what we need to do to take care of family, and not be afraid to encounter people who may think differently, believe differently, love differently, see the world differently. No. Those are opportunities for me to learn something that I may not have known before. I'm not going to pigeonhole people just because they may think differently or believe differently. However, there's a limit to some of that where, you know, if people are, excuse me, where if there's actual physical threat, then the responses would be different. Absolutely would be. However, I haven't seen that here. I didn't see it in Alabama when I was down there. I mean, there were crazies down there, and I put myself in a couple of places where there were crazies who made it clear they didn't want me around. But that was back when I was testing everything, checking the Ferrari out, as I put it. Yeah. Yeah. We're not going down that road with you. Maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, so I haven't had those problems. Now, look, I know I've got a lot of privilege in terms of, you know, my skin is white, even though I'm 1% African-American, according to my genetics. 1%. I can't claim that, though, obviously, can I? Look, there's nothing here. The Indian blood that was in my family back about 5-6 generations ago, it's no longer there. It's been out. Out of my line anyway. It didn't show up. So, you know, it's fun being around here. There's a lot of things that need to take place here in this area of the country. One thing that I mentioned the other day, that I think that if the Democratic Party were actually listening to me and if they heard what I had to say, I could tell them how they could regain the middle of the country. I could show them how to do it. And that involves actually taking all that money that you get coming in there and going into the local communities in flyover country right here in eastern Kentucky or southern West Virginia or out in the Midwest somewhere. Go into flyover country and do good. Don't proselytize. Don't go looking for somebody to say, oh, we got to figure out how to talk to you, spend $20 million. That's such a disgusting waste of money right there. The simple solution is get out of the ivory tower and go out into the communities where people are and help them, be there for them, and ask what they need and how you can help them. And if you got $20 million to spare, go fix up a house or a road or the streets of the city of Williamson, West Virginia, or the businesses in Pikeville, Kentucky that were destroyed during the flooding several months ago. Same thing here in the Pond Creek area, the Belfry area, the Pond Creek going right into the Tug River. There are businesses and homes that were wiped out. So if you want to influence the world, take your money and go out and show people you care. That's the best advice I could give them. Are they likely to take it? Probably not. But it is the best advice that anyone could give them. So, and that's true for anyone. I mean, if, as a matter of fact, a long time ago, one of the communities around here needed a bridge. They couldn't get support from the state, the county, anyone like that, or the federal government. They couldn't get anyone to support it. You know what they did? They reached out to the Soviet Union and they helped. They actually gave them the money for the darn bridge. Those kind of that was decades ago, man. I mean, decades and decades ago, a long time ago. And but the people who go in and help in these communities actually sincerely help and want to find ways to help and assist. You will shape the political landscape for decades to come. It's simple. That's just the simple mathematics of it. It's very straightforward. But are they going to do it? No, they're more interested in spending $20 million on figuring out how to talk to men. And all I can do is shake my head at that. Now, look, all parties do these kind of things. They do spend money on things where they're trying to find ways to connect with the population. And don't tell me that the Republicans didn't do it whenever they figured out how to reach blue collar people in the country. They figured it out. They know what worked. They spent money on figuring that out, how to reach the blue collar workers in the country and all of the plumbers and welders and car builders and stonemasons and bakers and all of these people all across the country and flyover country especially. They did spend money on doing that. But for the Democratic Party to spend $20 million on trying to figure out how to talk to men, I can tell you how to do it. Go out there in the middle of the country and flyover country, or right here in Williamson, West Virginia, or Pike County, Kentucky, and ask what they need and put the money in there to help them. The political impact on that would be far greater than the $20 million, than what you expect to get out of $20 million from figuring out how to talk to men. That's the stuff that's sustainable. That study is not sustainable. Those things will last like a flash fire in a little pan. Do nothing good over a sustainable period of time. And we know that, folks. We all know that, right? I mean, that's just common sense, isn't it? So don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to go out and ask them what they want. They respect you if you respect yourself and them. Just like I do. When I'm out in the community around here, I don't change myself to fit anybody else's, what they think I ought to be doing. Goodness, they have no right to tell me how to do that, how to be me. But the thing is, I also don't go around saying, here's the hammer and I will use it, like so many in this community have done. Badgered people over things as stupid as pronouns. Badgered people over things like, you didn't talk to me right. You called me wrong there. And can't you tell? No, they can't tell. People can't tell. They can't tell who you love. They can't tell your gender. They can't tell most of the time, they can't even tell you sex, because most men have an exaggerated image of themselves. I know. Believe me, I know. So anyway, be yourself, be real out here, stand up for what you believe in, but find out how to help people where they are, and you will have political influence for generations. What do you think Bobby John F. Kennedy did when he started riding the train around and riding into these small towns in West Virginia and places like that. Small towns. He came through Williamson, West Virginia, back when he was running for president in the 60s. Was it 60s or 59? I don't know. Somewhere around there, he was running around here, and people remembered that because he came in and he showed them who he is. And then he got involved in some things. That's how you move the needle, folks, over a long period of time. And what we're seeing right now is the exact opposite of that. It's just flabbergasting to me that it could be so easily done, and yet you're not doing it. But then again, we do have a powerful force that we're dealing with right now. And it doesn't qualify as being called authoritarian or really even fascist for that matter. But it is social Darwinism. And if you know what Darwinism means, is basically, and this is a lay way of describing it, a layperson's way of describing it, okay? The fittest survive. The survival of the fittest. That's the common thing that is not really all about that, but that's Darwinism, kind of gets screwed over. But social Darwinism means that if you have the resources, or if you have the business acumen and the power and the influence to run businesses, industrial or real estate development or anything like that, then you believe that you are the top of the pedestal. You're top of the pile, okay? And everybody else who aren't at your level financially work for you one way or another. Why do you think they're pushing all this stuff about trade right now? Get your trades, all the construction trades and building trades. Go out there and learn how to weld. And there's nothing wrong with that. I knew how to weld when I was about 6, because that's what Dad did. So we learned it. All 6 of his kids learned how to weld and construct things. And it's come in handy over many years. But when you hear people who believe themselves to be the top of the pile, and they have a social responsibility to themselves that everyone else owes their work and their lives to them, when they start pushing for people to become welders and plumbers and bricklayers and stonemasons and sheetrock specialists, electricians, and all this kind of stuff, we do need those things. We do need those jobs. That's true. But so many of those things are going to be obsolete in just a few years. We know that. You can see it. The trends are there. We already know what's coming. Not going to be able to replace everyone, but the ones who know about AI and robotics, they're the ones who are going to be running the robot systems and all that kind of stuff, doing that work, while the rest of us sit around and do what? Who knows? But social Darwinism is where we are in this country right now. And it's a restoration of the Gilded Age that Trump loves so much about. He loves that period of time. Why? Because all you have to do is look in his office right now. All you have to do is just realize he has the golden toilet. All you have to do is realize that the way the Qatari government figured out how to get him to listen to them was to give him the royal family's jet. Makes him feel like a king. Yeah, that's what this is. It is so plain to see. It is so easy to see and read. And yet we have people who can't comprehend it or understand it or even try to, really. They just kind of push it off and say, no, that's just the way he is. Yes, that's the way he is. All right. He's always believed himself to be superior to everybody else. No matter how much he does go out here and interact with people, he's a smooth operator. A very smooth operator, like that song that Sadi did. The smooth operator. Yeah, he is. He is a smooth operator, and the best at it. Because look at what's going on. He's got the whole world at his fingertips right now. All of them begging to do things and get him to do things for them. And They all know how to manipulate him. Putin does, Xi does, the Qatari family does. The people here in the United States, they know how to manipulate him as well, particularly those who are of the ilk of the Heritage Foundation, like Kevin Roberts, Dr. Roberts. They believe that they have the authority. This is their social Darwinism, by the way. This is Trump's social Darwinism is avarice, money, economic influence, power, industrialization, and real estate development, and all that stuff. That's where Trump's at. But there is another level to this social Darwinism that we have in this country that is unlike what happened in the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age, there were no people over the robber barons. There were no people who believed that they were controlling and manipulating and had an influence on the robber barons. I mean, by that term, I mean people like the Roosevelts, the Carnegies, whatever, any of them. I know the other names, but I just can't get it out right now. But anyway, so we know that there was no oversight over that kind of thing, and no one had the power to tell them what to do. They just believed they had to, they believed they were at the top, and therefore they deserved to be at the top, and everybody else had to grovel under the table for food and scraps and money to make it. But today, the difference is now we have another level of this social Darwinism that believe they are superior to all of the oligarchs and the power brokers and the president and the entire government. They believe that they have a God-given right to manage the entire country and have people in place to do things that they want them to do, which they do now. They got swept in with Trump. I mean, you got Hegseth in the Pentagon, definitely Christian nationalists, religious nationalists. I'm going to use religious nationalists because this applies to Muslims and Christians and any other faith that thinks they have a right to be over everybody else. And, people like Matt Walsh, who calls himself a theocratic fascist. You got Kevin Roberts, who runs the Heritage Foundation, put out the mandate for leadership for 2025. And then you've got the pastor that Hegseth has that came in from his church in Tennessee to lead a prayer session at the Pentagon over the Memorial Day weekend. And he's going to get somebody different every month to come in. I'm curious to see if some of those different people who come in will be Muslim or Hindu or Sikh. Curious about that. I seriously doubt it, though. I would not be surprised if they do not have those other faiths represented, because this is, I call it now, I'll call it religious nationalism, but this version that we're having to deal with right now is Christian nationalism. And that pastor in Tennessee actually follows another person. What's his name? Doug Wilson or something like that, Midwest North, who is all about Christian nationalism. And it's not just your ordinary backyard down home country Christian nationalism stuff. This is what do we call it? We'll just call it a very muscular type of Christian nationalism. It's a very muscular type of Christian nationalism. It believes that men shouldn't cross their legs and sip drinks through straws, and their collars have got to be a certain way, and they're policing that. So that's the other level of social Darwinism. They think that no matter whether they're elected to lead anywhere in this country, they still manage and control it and dictate how it shall turn out, because all the others are beholden to them.